So as we progress through Lent, and in Lent the church, matches in some way the first reading and the gospel, which is unlike during ordinary time. They're kind of on two separate tracks, the gospel and the first reading. And yesterday we heard from the fourth chapter in Deuteronomy, and Moses is laying out that God's ways are gift. They lead to human flourishing. And what we see, what we know is that God's people don't follow his ways, his commands, and his statutes. And we have today the prophet Jeremiah. The Lord again is commanding through the prophet Jeremiah for his people to listen to him. And they don't. He says, but they obeyed not. And then he uses this very powerful image or visual to drive this home. And the image is this. He says, they walked in the hardness of their evil hearts. And here it is. They turned their backs, not their faces to me. Think of a more harmful thing to a relationship than, right, when you're engaging in a conversation, even when there's a disagreement, which is an opportunity to go deep, right, to have healthy conflict. And then one of the parties, rather than turning their face to the other, turns their back. Like they can't be more opposite. There's no middle ground there. And take that to the nth degree in a covenantal relationship. On Sunday here at Notre Dame, we talked about Jesus the bridegroom. The covenant between God and Israel at the time, which was made and exemplified or made more profound with the covenant with Jesus, and Jesus wedding himself to us, the church, which is you and I. So, but think of that image now of turning back then within the covenantal, within marriage. The harm there leads to division. And ultimately, here the next move, as we can see with just the way these readings are laid out today, the strong image, it's dividing and it's evil. Jesus driving out the demon from the mute man. And at this point, as we approach the Passion Week, we're at the breaking point. Today's the breaking point. Because the miracle Jesus performed, people are calling God Satan. They're saying, you're doing this by the hands of Beelzebul. You're evil. So God is being called Satan here. And then Jesus' response, we won't get into the little parable that he gives, but at the very last line we heard in the gospel is, Jesus says, whoever is not with me, we're at the breaking point. Whoever's not with me is against me. And whoever does not gather with me scatters. I was reminded this morning of Pope Francis in his first homily as a pope. Along these lines says, we are either praying to God or we're praying to Satan. It's like, whoa. And, so you think, and Jesus talks about the division within the house. How can a kingdom stand when there's division within? And of course, my mind goes to if you don't follow church politics, right? It's probably good for you. Don't do it. But yeah, it's very interesting times. You look at the German bishops. Literally saying things. Blessing gay unions. Vatican comes out, corrects them, and says can't be done. German bishops are plowing forward on that with a seemingly right now just a total disregard with what the Vatican has said and what Pope Francis has said. And and there's been plenty of times in the church where a breaking point, if you will, maybe that's too strong of a language, but just when like heresy comes about, and previously, whether it's heresies about the Trinity, the heresies about like who Jesus is, his divine nature and human nature, those things, are a lot about doctrinal issues, like a lot about, who God is. We're entering a time right now where it's a lot about morality and wanting to say things or wanting to condone things and say sins that have always been bad from what Jesus says and what the church says that are now, it's okay. And so I think Jesus' words here about turning our face to him rather than turning our back is important as we look at it with the church, and that's our prayers. We pray at every liturgy. We pray for the church. We pray for the Pope. We pray for all bishops. We pray for our local bishop. So that's our prayer for the faithfulness to the church and the magisterium. But also, maybe, and just to close with this, it's for our own hearts as we enter now closer to Holy Week. Where, Lord, as there's no middle ground, where does my heart tend to turn away from, I turn my back to you rather than turning my face to you? And Jesus's face, when our face turns towards him, face to face, who's Jesus's face? He's a face of mercy. He's a face of reconciliation. It's a face of peace. It's a face who went to the cross. It's a face that wants to tell us that we're known, that we're loved, and that his ways are for, as I mentioned yesterday, for human flourishing. So let us rededicate ourselves. Let us ask the Lord to shine light upon our hearts here in the liturgy, to help us turn rather our backs towards him, to turn our face to him so we see his love, his mercy, his compassion, and his ways.